Hello, everybody. We are group 2 and we are called the Communication Sensation. Our critical problem solving project is on the dietary restrictions on campus.
The main problem that we came up with is that Xavier does not have enough options on campus for people with dietary restrictions. I know what you're thinking is that the school has the gluten-free section in the CAF, or that they might have some vegetarian selections. But dietary restrictions go beyond all that. And for example, some dietary restrictions that Xavier does not specifically cover are religious restrictions, such as anyone that is Muslim or Jewish, and a peanut allergies or dairy restrictions besides vegan food. Xavier is not the only school who faces this problem. Schools all over the country do not provide these options for their students. For example, Tufts had about 100 students living on campus not be able to eat the food that the school provided. This was because of the lack of notifications that food was cooked with peanut oil or lack of halal options. If Xavier could jump on this problem and solve it, it could put us ahead of all other schools and give us that one extra step. This relates to Xavier because on Xavier's campus, there's 19 different religions that are a part of the school. And any lack of representation for those religious diets ignores the presence of the varying cultures around on campus and can look poorly on the school if it's not acted on. And if you're a freshman or a sophomore living on campus, you are required to purchase a meal plan. The two options that are required that you can pick from are Xavier Blue or Xavier Silver. And out of those two options, the cheapest is $3,000. That is a lot of money to pay, let alone the fact that if you can't eat it, or if you are not allowed to due to your religious restrictions. If these options are not provided, then the only options they're left with is to go off campus and go spend money at other places, which leads to more expensive payments that no one wants to do. And if these options aren't provided, it could lead students to have a lack of nutrients that they need. And lastly, this is relevant to Xavier because sometimes some of their food is mislabeled or not labeled at all. This could be dangerous to the students, especially if something happened like at Tufts where a kid with a peanut allergy eats something that was cooked in peanut oil, or something small like that could lead to a big problem for the school.
So the causes of this problem in general, and especially on our campus, or on college campuses in general, are quite a few causes. But for one, dining halls are often trying to cater to the majority of students. So students with less common allergies or dietary restrictions are not always represented. And even this has happened to the extent that, someone who cannot have dairy but is not vegan can only eat the vegan food, so they're not getting a full diet that they would normally be eating otherwise. So really, the dining halls are just representing people who can either eat everything or just the large well-recognized diets like vegan, vegetarian, and then also avoiding gluten is somewhat represented on campus as well. Also, most of the popular food service companies that help with college campuses don't have readily available options that comply with dietary restrictions, especially for religious diets. Many services, even Chartwell's, it's difficult to find if they have, a halal option or a kosher option. It's not stated on their website right away. There might be like a small reference to it, like on Chartwell's, they say something about, oh, and religious diets too, but there is not detailed information that is easy to find. So, that might lead to schools not really thinking to represent those students, especially if the food service company themselves don't bring it up. Also, if a dining hall does have vegan and vegetarian options, they might believe that's sufficient, that gives options. So like I said before, the dairy-free people are able to eat vegan food, but that doesn't mean that gives them a satisfying diet. It really restricts them. There's also a lack of awareness about certain allergies and dietary restrictions. I know that while we were researching for this project, a lot of us learned a lot about what kosher and halal mean and what that entails. there's a lot of stuff that people don't know. And, there could be a simple mistake that wasn't intended where the school might believe that, oh, yeah, people with this certain restriction can eat this food that we're providing, when really that's not including that full population. And also, we go to a medium-sized, maybe small, medium university. So, small universities can have a harder time providing diverse options. There might be a lack of space or a lack of money and investment to be able to be put into those options. So there are challenges like that as well.
So when we were deciding on plans to implement, we broke our criteria into four main factors: cost effective, appealing to a broad student population, increasing awareness, and the positive impact our plans would have on Xavier's campus. So talking about cost effectiveness, our plan would have to be realistically priced in order for the school to be on board to implement it. The school doesn't really want to waste money, even if it has like a large endowment or money to spend on something that would affect students in a positive manner. And they want the return on investment, so they want to know that students are going to be utilizing whatever we're providing in our plan. Appealing to a broad student population, research has to be done to see what demographics will be affected by this plan, and the school has to be ensured that students will get the most out of the proposed solution. It could be interesting to students without dietary restrictions if they want to be immersed into different cultures or see what people have to go through with dietary restrictions. And it would also appeal to multiple different types of dietary restrictions, just like simple allergies or something as severe as like celiac disease. Then increasing awareness. So are students more informed about the problem based on the plan we're implementing? And are they aware of what people have to go through and that they can't really eat at the CAF if they have certain dietary restrictions or anywhere on campus in general? And just like any social injustice issue, you want people to be aware about the problem and what steps can be taken to improve. And then lastly, positive impact on Xavier's campus. So is our plan improving student life? It could be positively affecting Xavier's reputation because not a lot of schools had this, like Jake said. And will students overall have a better on-campus dining experience with whatever plan we implement? Then analyzing possible solutions. First, extensive research should be conducted through like a survey to find out what demographic actually falls under the proposed plan we're planning to make and what restrictions exist on Xavier's campus. So the first solution could be inserting a restaurant on campus, whether internal or external, that integrates foods for all students and faculty in an unused space. So we discussed putting in something like an elevation burger, which serves American food but with halal meat, and it uses healthier ingredients, and it would show commitment to health by Xavier, and it would allow students with all eating restrictions or non-restrictions to be able to eat it because it's simple food that most people like, and it could be more helpful in an underutilized area such as maybe the sushi place or the 513 burger that already exists. Then it could be, another solution could be utilizing underused space in the cafeteria. So this would incentivize people with restrictions to buy a meal plan since they can't really eat anything anyway, and the current meal plan is $3,000 and you want to eat what you're paying for. And it would allow a cultural immersion. Basically, if people are unaware of what these people can and can't eat, it's on display for the entire student body when the CAF isn't as restrictive. And it would be easily accessible because it's in an open space where people can see where they're serving it. Another plan could be including ingredient lists for on-campus dining users to see, or an education program for Xavier dining staff in a combined plan. So for an ingredient list, people just want to know what they can eat and what is being prepared with the food. And they want to know that if they have a dietary restriction, they want to prevent any cross-contamination from taking place. And an education program would help people be aware of the issue and how to carefully prepare the food so that people with dietary restrictions can eat it. And this would impact how the food is prepared, and all dietary restrictions would be taken into account before even prepping the meal. And the last possible solution would be a self-service option, like the pizza ATM, where you can just go select your ingredients and then it will be just readily available for you in a short period of time. It would be quick and efficient since the pizza ATM doesn't take long by itself. It would be easily accessible because it would be on campus, but it also may not be feasible because workers would have to continue to tend to it and it's subject to malfunction.
So for our chosen solution, it is a multiple part process, I guess you could call it. And Xavier has a contract with Chartwells. So the first thing would be to talk to Chartwells about what they have available for kosher and halal options. So whether Xavier could purchase different things or switch out the options that we have, and discuss transforming what now is our juice bar into a specific area for those types of food. The second thing would be to send a survey to all Xavier students living off and on campus to see what percent of the population is affected by dietary restrictions and what food they want to see provided at Xavier or in a new station. Another would be to ensure that the kitchen is kosher compliant. So in order to do this, they could get a certification, and pretty much that certification is going to verify the ingredients, production process, and everything in between, that to make sure that it complies with the standards of the Jewish dietary law. And I know there is a company, Earth Kosher, which offers multiple different certifications. Another option would be to formalize the plan that we have with Chartwells based on the feedback from the students. So after we figure out what Chartwells has available and we can compare it with what the students' needs are, we could figure out exactly what to do. We could also develop a training plan for the student workers, and this would allow anyone with questions to be able to ask anyone working, and for the workers to all understand the new processes that we're putting into place and how it would affect their cooking. And the last thing would be to advertise the new additions to the students. And this is important because it brings that positive aspect to campus to show students that Xavier does care about them and their well-being and making sure that they get the nutrition that they need.
So we just learned about the solutions for our plan. However, there are a few disadvantages and implementation problems. The first one is that the students may not fill out the survey correctly. We as students, we get hundreds of emails that we skim through, or maybe we don't even read them, and the survey may not be taken by everybody, which would make the data that is collected from the survey not very accurate. Expenses may not be worth the investment. It would cost money, of course, to educate the staff on what ingredients are found in each of the food items, and also the idea of taking out the juice bar itself and adding a place for dietary needs will, of course, cost a lot of money. Right now, we're still in COVID, which has already put Xavier into a lot of debt. So right now may not be the best time to try and spend money and change up some of the food. The next one is the regularly updating of the ingredient list. This may not always be current because if someone forgets to change one of the ingredient lists, then that kind of defeats the whole purpose, and someone may end up start eating a food that they shouldn't be eating or that their body cannot eat. So this part would have to be monitored very closely, which could be a problem because that just means it's one other job and one other thing that someone has to be making sure is accurate at all times. Chartwells may see the data and still not agree. At the end of the day, it's kind of depends on whether Chartwell and Xavier will agree to this, but it is extra time and it is extra work and extra money. So they might just straight up say that they don't offer kosher or halal meals in the past, and they're not going to start. Another thing is that people without dietary restrictions may not care. This kind of relates back to the student survey, but if you are a person who doesn't have any dietary restrictions, you may not think that the survey applies to you. You may not fill it out. They could feel that since they don't have dietary needs, it doesn't really affect them. And since there are more people without restrictions, this may affect Chartwell's choice because they may say, well, there are more students on campus who don't have restrictions, so we want to cater to them instead of the ones that do have dietary restrictions.
So I am force field analysis is next, which I'm talking of the driving forces and encourage the change. So for example, Xavier's MSA club has tried to propose introducing a new challah option, and they've actually tried to propose it in the past. And also the diverse options can draw new students to enroll because it's something that other universities don't have. So if students have this they need to have these accommodations for their dietary needs, then they'll be interested in coming to Xavier, which will make more money for the school, for more students. And it also provides a new element to the cafeteria that not many other schools have. It involves utilizing space that already serves as similar purposes, so they wouldn't have to break anything down. And it would be open at the regular dining times at the cafeteria, so no change there. And it could also give more jobs to student workers who are aware of this issue. And then the restraining forces that resist the change, they really don't want to invest the time and money that is needed to make the change. There are students who enjoy the juice bar. It could be unsuccessful if the population that actually eats here is smaller than what they anticipate. The staff may be not wanting to adapt to the changes that they're not used to, that they're not accustomed to. And Xavier may feel that the juice bar is effective with the student body, and even if they didn't, they might think of a different alternative use. And then having dietary options for everyone at the school allows for students and staff to be part of the community. So nobody should feel left out just because they have allergies or religious beliefs that impact the way they eat. And by offering a survey and getting people involved about the change that needs to happen in food options at the school, it would create a different location, and they could create a different location for the juice bar so that it is available for other Xavier students that enjoy the juice bar at a different location, and them offering educational sessions so that people are aware of the need of this change.
So to finish off our presentation, we have some discussion prompts, or we want to hear, your feedback, the audience feedback. We want to know, what additional food options do you think would benefit Xavier? Do you think there is something that Xavier could add to either the CAF or even an external restaurant that would really change the options available and make student life better? And also, do you think there is a way to provide food that complies with religious diets while also appealing to the average student? So, is there a type of cuisine that you believe, the regular Xavier student would still want to eat, even if they aren't following, a kosher or a halal diet or a strict allergen-free diet? Just, do you think there is something that could add to that? Also, do you think that all students should have access to a wide variety of food? Or should those with restrictions find food that they can eat on their own or somewhere off campus? Should this be Xavier's priority, or is this a personal issue? Is it the school's responsibility to cater to people? So thank you so much for listening, and let us know what your feedback is.